Welcome back to season 4 of Comic Book Nation, your one-stop show for all things geek culture. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today, I got my regular crew of Mr. Matthew Aguilar.
What up, what up, what up?
And Ms. Janelle Wheeler.
Hello, hello. Welcome in.
And what's up, guys? Today, we are going to get a little interactive because we are all in a holding pattern currently because, movie year is about to start kicking off, right? We got big things happening. By this time next week, we will be back here to talk about none other than the Batman.
The Batman.
Oh, yeah, Batman's coming out. And, it's a good time to tell you guys. You probably have some homework to do, right? Like, you guys got to see the Batman, huh? Yeah, so everybody's got stuff to do this week. We're going to be a busy week. But, that's next week. And we have plenty of Batman coverage that's already awesome on Comicbook.com DC. Brandon Davis was out to talk with the cast and crew. And some of us around the comic book bullpen, we may have kind of sort of seen some things that are, related to bats and to men and other things. That's all we can say right about now. And so, we might have seen some things related to bats and men. And we can't tell you much more about that right now because there are rules to this. But we got some thoughts and we got a lot to talk about. So getting ready, get psyched. DC Nation's coming alive out there because it's time for some DC movies to come back, and the Batman will be here next week. So that is my little teaser pitch for what we will be doing. The Batman review will drop on Monday on Comicbook.com. I believe it is 12 noon Eastern, written by your boy
Let's
here.
Go.
So,
God, I've been waiting for this.
I'm doing the official Batman review for Comicbook.com. Just turned in the draft right now. I'm getting messages as we speak right now as our fine editorial board is going over it, making sure I'm sanctioned to say all the things I might say in it.
Question, how many times have you seen it? Have you only been able to see it once?
I cannot confirm or deny that I've ever seen anything related to bats or to men, but yeah. So
we're writing the review though, like obviously they
things are obvious but still unspoken. But yes, I will be requiring additional viewings of the Batman regardless. I can say that even having reviewed it. But
awesome.
So check back Monday, 12 noon. Batman review will drop. And you guys will start to, get a sense of what's going on as we head into theaters out there. But that's Monday. So what are we doing today? Well, today we got to talk about some news. Then we are going to rank our top 5 Marvel TV shows. Top five. So we are going to be ranking Marvel TV shows. And unlike some of these other cowards out here and these other sites and stuff, we aren't going to just keep it constrained to the MCU, baby. We're going all over the place. So we started this, I think, on a random argument or discussion we were having last episode and decided we're going to go with it. So we are going to rank out of all the Marvel TV shows produced on any universe, any platform.
Live action, though, correct?
I didn't put any rules to this. I didn't put any rules to this. Yeah, because what are we going to start counting out? that gets tricky just in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You could do a whole thing just for animation, honestly.
You could, but at this point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it gets kind of hard to distinguish between which ones. Doctor Strange is going to take us into animation. So what are we doing here?
Yeah,
I did not. I held back from putting X-Men 92 in here.
No,
so I'm just saying, I did not go that far. I didn't go that far out of the box.
You can see how this is already going to go. So after the break, we will rank our favorite Marvel TV shows and then talk this week's comics. So a lot to do. Let's get started right at the top. So let's just break down some quick news flash that we thought you guys should know about. Kraven the Hunter. So the latest Spider-Man. Well, let's just talk about Spider-Man in general. We got release dates for the Spider-Man No Way Home release, Blu-ray, DVD, digital, and boy, what a release this is going to be, right? The special features though, guys, we're getting a trailer. We had a trailer that had advertised over 80 minutes of kind of bonus material, special features, behind the scenes, featurettes, interviews with the cast, probably deleted scenes, Easter egg reveals, all kinds of crazy stuff. It looks pretty dope. I mean, I'm not always, ever since the 2000s, I burned out on like DVDs and special features and stuff.
Right.
But this one, I said, I mean, I tweeted it like, this is one I would watch just, straight through, because it looks like the Spider-Man cast had a ball of a time just making this movie. And a lot of it looks like so much fun. Like they have a photo shoot with Andrew, Toby, and Tom doing the pointing meme.
Yes.
Look, they did the thing. Like, so yeah, so it's all good. So check that out. I believe that's coming in April, is it? That Spider-Man's coming?
I don't know. Is it?
That's great. That is a lovely question. Wow, we're talking about it and we don't even know that.
No, I haven't. It's right here.
I don't get excited for this stuff anymore, and that bums me out.
Aww.
That bums me out. Not like
it's
just
on
like
April
the extras
11th.
and stuff, but I just like, I don't know. I'm in the same spot as Kofi was. I feel like, I don't know. I just like that doesn't hit me as much. I think it's just honestly because we're inundated with it so much on like social, and there's so many things that come out ahead of the movie that like once we get to that point, I'm like, unless it's like a movie I just like, it's like an all-time classic for me or something, which Spider-Man No Way Home was fantastic, by the way. But I'm just saying, like, unless it's that level, like I really don't, I just want to watch the movie again type of thing. I don't really.
I do really, really want to watch the movie again, like at home, just to experience it that way too and see how it does on like a, TV screen. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Matt. Like I am excited, but I do get so much of this just like being on social media and seeing teasers of it. Like I already saw the meme picture and
yeah. And by the time it comes out, we will have seen half of the things that they're talking about. So like, I don't know. Like,
but I'm so glad that those things were created.
That's true.
I'm so glad because it lights up my day, especially when you're having a bad day.
Can I ask you both a question? Why do you hate Joy?
Don't hate Joy. Just
why
realistic.
do you hate Joy?
It's just realistic.
I mean, what did Joy do to you that you hate it so much? All right. Well, this was supposed to be a happy thing that I thought we were all going to coalesce on.
No, I'm pumped. No, I love it. I am.
My co-host's reaction is to go full Michael Jordan and be like, F them special features. All right. So,
oh, wow.
All right. So Spider-Man's coming. Just to clarify, the digital release will be late March. April 11th for the physical copies will be coming then. So there's a trailer if you want to see what you're going to be getting in the special features, but that's only if you care, apparently. Okay, so Kraven the Hunter movie, Spider-Man spinoff, has cast a pivotal Spider-Man villain. Sorry, Matt, it is not Cardiac, but it is Chameleon. So Chameleon will be appearing in Kraven the Hunter and is going to be played by White Lotus star Fred Hetchinger. I don't want to Hetchinger. Who played kind of the neurotic little brother. I forget if he was on the spectrum in the show or not, but he was a little brother in White Lotus who ended up going surfing and running away from his parents and doing all that. He also appears in the current Pam and Tommy series on Hulu, playing like one of the kind of early people in the adult industry to start making webcams and using computers and stuff. Yeah, it is really good. Lily Robb.
It's your fault.
Right, man. I mean, Lily Robb. I mean, we can get into that. Yeah, she's so good. She
is Pamela.
Yeah, she is so good. Lily Robb is so underrated. From Baby Driver to this, like she is just a chameleon. I mean, great. I mean, which brings us back to our show.
She is a chameleon.
Yes, a chameleon.
I see what you did there.
Amazing.
So, but Fred Hetchinger in Pam and Tommy, I say, he plays this kind of smarmy, smart kind of scumbag guy, and I could see like why he would be good for chameleon in that kind of reference point. So that is interesting.
Dreams, by the way, that like that having him in the movie, that character does up the intrigue a bit, just because he's such a wild card. We've seen that character go so many different ways, as with Kraven the Hunter, by the way. I mean, we've seen Kraven the Hunter go crazy different ways in the comics over the last couple of years. And shout out to Squirrel Girl for one of my favorite versions of the characters. That is not the one we are going to get most likely in the movie, but I'm still excited about that. So yeah, I think this is a cool addition, just because I don't know what to expect.
In a movie about a guy hunting things, having somebody in there that can, fool and change his appearance and kind of do that is, like you said, if nothing else, it raises the level of intrigue about like what's going on in the story. Speaking of intrigue in the Kraven of Hunter movie, the other part of Kraven news we got is we may now know who Russell Crowe is playing, because this movie gets crazier and crazier. I mean, Russell Crowe is going to be starring in it along Aaron Taylor Johnson. Nuts. And we know we heard early on he could have that Russell Crowe could have a significant role, and now we're hearing rumors it could be Nikolai Kravinoff, the father of Kraven the Hunter. And that would be, again, that raises the level of intrigue for me, even if it's just like Russell Crowe doing scenes with a younger actor who's not quite Aaron Taylor Johnson yet, as Kraven's getting, this crazy training from his father and all of that. Like, that would be kind of an interesting story to see. And again, like Matt said, raises the level of intrigue about like, what is this movie actually about? And kind of how do they get some of these kind of talented actors to really jump into this? This doesn't feel like it's going to be like your 2000s Kraven the Hunter movie. It seems like it could be deeper about like fathers and legacy and, all this kind of stuff.
And especially if you have someone like Crowe in a role that does not, I mean, look at Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Like that character like could have been just a cameo thing, but that character ended up serving a real purpose and a longer kind of arc, even though he wasn't on screen. He was at a longer arc in Clark's journey. Right. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see how the code comes about. Like, and that's something you can get from that father-son scene of like, we have rules, because that's the thing about Kraven, right? He has a code, he has rules that he abides by. He wants to hunt somebody, but he wants to hunt someone on an even field. He's going to give someone a weapon if they're in one-on-one combat. He's not going to stab him in the back. Like that's his kind of thing. So I like that. I think this is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Janelle, any quick thoughts before we move on?
I mean, I don't know a lot about this.
All right, thank you. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I really don't though, but I'm asking the chat. I keep asking, like, what do you guys think about this? Like, are you happy with these castings? Like, and I would actually be really excited to be assigned, comics to like prepare for this one, because I feel like this is the most. I feel the least familiar with this character out of almost any of the content that we've covered.
Oh, seems like a good excuse.
It does.
Dive into the Kraven stories.
I'm down. I would love that. I would love to know where to go with this, like where to start.
No, Bradwood, he is no reacher. Kraven ain't going to shoot you in the back. That's a reacher thing.
Yeah, it is. God, Reacher's so good. Okay. So I'm excited for that. And kind of tying into that, just a quick thing to the audience. If now that we know kind of a few of Sony's like planned Spidey spinoffs, right? What is that and also factoring in like who we've already seen, because even though they're in the multiverse and they're not maybe centric to like Holland's universe, obviously we've seen Doc Ock, we've seen Electro, we've seen Sandman, but Spidey is like Batman. He has one of the biggest rogues galleries and it's like one of the most expansive rogues galleries. Period. So who is the villain you want to see next?
I mean, clearly it's Calypso.
Is it Smythe? Like a full on like Spider Slayer run of like really diving into that, because like they've toyed with that and stuff, and like that character has popped up, but like not like in the way the characters popped up in the comics, obviously. I mean, I was only kind of half joking. We are getting a Calypso movie, aren't we? Wasn't that like a thing? I can't keep track of the ones that are in production and out of production. I still want my Black Cat movie.
I was just about to say Black Cat.
Silver and Black
Cat movie.
I want Black Cat.
I wanted that movie that was the one I was excited about when we thought all these were pipe dreams and they were like announcing movies left and right. I was like, that one is the one I want, especially after seeing the script leaks and stuff that were like, hey, this is what it's about. I was like, oh, that sounds great.
It's a rumor that Jodie from Queen and Slim and that Michael B. Jordan, Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, Jodie Turner-Smith is rumored to be in Kraven as Calypso.
There we go. So I was like, wow, I didn't know they greenlit a Calypso movie. Can I get a facade? There you go.
Yeah, so I forgot. There's been so much that happened.
The
over
jury? Can we get them? Can we get
Just
some
stop.
solo action?
You'll be
in
lucky
the-
if you
in the
ever
thing?
see Cardiac, so just chill out.
Look,
You-
I didn't say him, by the way. I was going to, but I didn't say him. Everyone knows already
All right.
that I want a Cardiac.
So Kraven the Hunter is getting to be more and more interesting by the minute. Yeah, we
Tarantula?
got some. Tarantula would be good. I miss Tarantula.
Let us know in the on the Comic Book Nation Twitter account because I actually want to do.
Yeah.
I might do a poll of like the top ones because so let
Yeah.
us know there. Oh,
Twitter account's
Massacre,
fun.
Tombstone, yes, great. There's so many.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, but we're going to be keeping an eye on this Kraven thing because it is getting more and more interesting by the minute. All right, let's see what else we have. We usually don't do kind of comics news until we do comics section, but I'm kind of switching that up because I feel like you shouldn't just have to push comics into some section like it's all second tier. But big news this week, we're getting a new Batman creative team.
Yeah, buddy. Now this I'm excited about. This I'm stoked about. We're getting Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez.
Yeah, that's a
on
great
Batman,
combo.
starting at 125. So they'll pick up with a new arc failsafe. Zdarsky's already writing.
Tell the real news though. What's the real news?
What is the real news? That is the real news. I'm excited for that.
They bringing back my boy Drake.
Oh, jeez.
They're bringing back my boy Drake.
That's the real news. Okay, I was like,
yeah, I'm a '90s kid. Yes, it is real news.
like, I love
Bringing
Tim Drake,
back
and I was
Tim
very
Drake,
excited to see him on the cover.
baby.
I was
Yes,
very
right.
excited to see him on the cover. And he has been getting the like kind of shallow end of the stick or however.
Yeah, I mean, Jason tried to make a comeback. Jason Todd made like a resurgence and took over for a while, and it's like everybody was like, "Oh, Tim Drake, let's forget about that."
Damian's got his own series. Nightwing's got his own series. They're all killing it right now. So yeah, I mean that's a good get. That's a good get.
So my boy Drake,
It's a good team,
certified Robin boy,
especially
back.
with the work that Zdarsky has done on Daredevil and Batman the Knight, which I have really enjoyed. So like I'm stoked for this. I think this is a really cool thing. Which brings us to my question to everybody.
Ooh.
We're doing a lot of little interaction today, which I'm
Great.
excited about. If you had a dream, because we've already seen Batman is one of those books. It's like I feel like there's almost not a creator out there. There probably is, but there are very few creators who wouldn't want a shot at Batman just to see what that is. So is there a dream team? What is your Batman dream team at this point? You know, like what, like is it like for me, it's like Gillen and Mora, what they're doing on Once and Future. Man, I would love to see what they could do on that book. I would love a proper Bendis run on Batman. We've seen him on the character in several different things, but we haven't actually seen him dive into the series. Like there's been a lot of really great teams on this book on Batman. But like, who's your dream team? Let us know on Twitter and shout us out.
Hickman does a multiversal Batman detective story.
Yo.
Ooh, Hickman.
No,
That's cool.
I'm kind of just messing with you. But
Why
I
though?
like it.
I think that's a good.
I am way out of sync with the two of you today. I have no
I
idea.
think it's a
no.
good thought. I think
Oh,
that
this
would be
list is
interesting.
gonna be scary.
I think that would be interesting. I don't know.
No, it would be. I mean, a multiversal Batman story would actually be kind of fun if it like not into outer space, but like just different versions of Earth and him
Yes.
having to investigate something across them
Yeah.
and keep lots of charts for
Lots
that
of
investigation. Would be great. That'd be nuts. We should make that happen. All right. But that is the Batman creative team. I'm really excited. And just to be, I wasn't just screaming out Tim Drake just to be flippant. I love Tim Drake, not just because I'm a 90s kid, but he's always the Robin that I think is the most match for Batman in a weird kind of way because of, I mean, just from how he got the job being like an actual detective and sneaking into the Batcave to the drama with his father and all that stuff that he had. Like, I think Tim Drake's great. And, they're really doing some expansive stuff with the character, and I want to see what a renewed take on him and Batman is like now. So after everything they've both been through, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of the Batman universe, over a quick tease, there's an interview going live today later when I actually get to write it that I'm very excited because got a first look at the White Knight Batman Beyond.
Ooh.
That if you're a fan of like the Batman universe, that alternate universe of Batman,
Ew,
it's gonna
what
be
was
amazing.
that?
It's gonna be amazing. It's
You better. What was
It's
that?
so
You better
good.
keep it together with your reactions.
It's gonna be good, man. I'm flipping.
Oh my god.
I'm
All right.
giddy. I'm
Well,
giddy.
there goes my eyeballs for the day. That's burned in there. All right, so let's keep on moving. I didn't put it in the show notes, but before we take a break, I did put it in the summary. I'm just going to touch on the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So we're going to do a
that's right.
spoiler-free review of Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. I forgot to put the trailer in
Vroom,
here.
vroom.
Yeah.
Is that a chainsaw?
Yeah, I went to check this out because
Matt has all the
it's-
sound effects today.
I know, man.
I'm a Foley artist.
Well, even though we
Hey.
don't necessarily want them or will be traumatized by them, he still has them. Thank you, buddy.
I love it.
So there's a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie out on Netflix. It is a kind of direct sequel. They're doing the direct sequel thing to the original one, like the original, not like the remake. And it got a lot of controversy. So I decided to check it out. People saying it was like somehow unusually brutal or wasn't good. And I watched it, and I mean, it feels very much like a COVID era production of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It is unusually nihilistic and kind of pretty brutal in a way. But maybe that's not what people want right now, but it is. I mean, it's in Texas. There is a chainsaw, and there definitely is a massacre. So I feel like it went there and did what it is, but I could get why people were put off by it. It was a hard watch. I tried to do it while working, and there were moments that just kind of made me stop working and was just like, oh, like embracing, like not in a good way. And I'm a pretty okay with horror movies, but yeah, there was a lot of kind of just brutal, almost nihilistic stuff. Like, yeah, you get attached to characters and things don't go well for like anybody in this. So it is a very not feel good movie, and you do not end feeling very good. Yeah, you feel like the Leatherfaces of the world are out there, and it is a weird kind of message because it's about this kind of would-be utopian collective of very, woke new age kids who go to and buy up the town in Texas to make their own kind of restaurant promenade, getting ahead of everybody leaving cities, going to rural area post-pandemic thing. And then, they try to buy, they run afoul of Leatherface in his home, and all of that's never explained, but how he just kind of, a town's looking for an infamous serial killer just hanging out in town. But anyway, forgetting all that, who's obviously the biggest, weirdest person in the town. So, never mind all that. But yeah, and it's just about Leatherface cutting down these kids and reminding them, like, you can't new age everything. And so, like, yeah, it was weird, but it was a Texas, it was Chainsaw, and it was a massacre. So I felt like at least I got what was promised. So I don't know. I didn't make you guys watch this. I know. I didn't want to give Janelle PTSD.
Bless you.
Yeah.
There was one, I cannot remember which one it was, but there was one Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was at a friend's house and it was on. Like, they were just watching it and I wasn't really like paying attention. I was doing other stuff. But then like I started watching it, and like it's one that like someone was, I mean, this is probably describes, I'm not the biggest like expert on these movies, so I'm sure this describes like a bunch of them, but someone was strapped in a chair and was like having something done to their arm. And I remember turning around, like I turned around when that was happening. I was like, oh my God, like it actually freaked me out to the point I kind of like got up and like kind of
probably Michael Bay. It was probably the Michael Bay, like 2000s.
I was like, oh God, no.
That
I
one with
can't.
Jessica Biel. There's a lot of kids.
I think that might have, maybe that was it. But
they also have like the beginning that was like the origin of Leather. Like there's been so many crazy knockoff Texas Chainsaw Massacre ones. They bring back the surviving actress from the original who got away. The one, the infamous scene of her running away and Leatherface chasing her at the end.
In this one?
Yeah, they bring her back. So it's like a direct sequel. It's one of those things. And so, but even that is really nihilistic and muddled because, yeah, I don't want to get into spoilers, but this is one of those horror movies where people make a lot of insane decisions that you're just like, yeah, you probably should die. All right. So that's
Matt,
Texas Chainsaw
I watched
Massacre.
your show. I started the show that, what is it? The one you said in Slack that you.
The one about Anna.
Yes.
Inventing Anna.
I did start it. I wasn't even going to watch it, but when you mentioned that you might bring it up, I was like, okay, fine. And I'm glad I did. It's actually turning out to be pretty great.
Oh my God, that show is like really good all the way through. It's so good.
I gotta get on this glass ceiling posting. All right, here we go. Co-hosts.
Wow.
All right, so we're good. With that
glass
said,
door.
Glass ceiling. Or was it glass door? Oh,
I was like,
Bro.
what, are you trying to shatter a glass ceiling, or are you
bro,
trying to
I don't apply for
get out
jobs.
of here on glass
I don't apply
door?
to jobs. I get recruited. Okay, like just chill out. I don't know. I don't apply to jobs. My resume hasn't been spruced up in many a year. I get recruited. Okay, like that's the level. That's the level we're working on
That
here.
made my day.
And after this podcast episode, I may need a recruiter. So we're going to take a break, pay some bills so that at least they don't cancel us. And when we come back, it is time to rank our favorite Marvel TV shows. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that drama. Okay, we are back. Comic Book Nation, Season 4. We are here to rank our favorite Marvel TV shows. And what we're going to do is we're going to go around, and each of us will give our picks starting at our least favorite or number 5. Not
Yeah,
least
we
favorite.
can't
Right.
say least.
This is our
'cause-
top
Yeah.
5. So this is the best
Yeah.
of the best, and this is just our lowest of those 5. Does that work? I think that's good. That's
Yeah.
like
I
saying
feel
it
like
in
we
a
should
way.
honorable mention at the end.
No, you're
No?
not running it. No,
You want to
absolutely
start
not.
with an honorable mention.
Of course, honorable mentions
Okay.
are things that didn't make the list, but you
I
let people know
know.
they didn't make the list and give them just a little
Okay.
comfort of why. So we're not going to reverse like the order of sportsing here. We're going to do this the way it goes. So each of us will give our number 5 picks, and then we'll go around. Okay. So here we go.
Wait, number
Look,
5,
wait.
not honorable mention?
Yeah, are we giving our honorable mention or number
Oh my
5?
God. The number we did this before the show, and this show,
Yeah,
and, you know,
top
it shows how
5,
good.
And then
I
there's an
said, what did
extra
I say
slot.
before the show? I feel like I'm in dad mode right now. What did I say before the show?
Inhumans.
I said before the show, when you do your number 5,
Oh, do it with it.
just do your honorable
Oh,
mention.
gosh. Okay,
I
I didn't
remember that's
understand.
just one of
Okay, Daddy's gonna start. You
Matt
guys
remembers, so you definitely did it.
Daddy is gonna start. You guys just follow along, okay? All right,
Inhumans.
here we go. So here I go first. My number 5 pick, but first I'm going to start with my honorable mention.
There you go.
My honorable mention was Legion,
Which is
the
spectacular.
Legion TV show, which is on FX. Legion was and is still one of the most unique interpretations of Marvel property that I have ever seen. It was just it took the story of Professor X's son and his multiple personality disorder and his massive mutant powers and actually turned it into this Noah Crowley, who does Fargo now and all that, actually did a spectacular job just making it in this own kind of metaphoric interpretation of mental health and, you know, all of this stuff, but also wove in a whole bunch of sick X-Men mythos involving the Shadow King and, you know, the Shadow King trying to get back at Xavier through his son and, you know, and being embedded in his brain. And yeah, it was just great. And it was just, like I said, there's nothing else that's ever been produced like it. And its take on mutants and powers and just the crazy X-Men-ness of it all, from space-time to other, you know, planets and stuff. It was great. So I don't think it's better than some of the other things on here, but for its uniqueness, it is my honorable mention. So
I'm so glad you picked that. Because
Yeah,
when
me
I saw
too.
that, I was like, yes, okay, that's getting on the list. We're good.
All right. So my number 5 pick is actually going to be Agents of Shield,
This
sometimes
surprised me.
referred to of Agents of Shield. This surprised you that I picked this?
Yes, this surprised me. At
Okay,
number
okay.
5, at like number 5, I was actually surprised this made the cut.
No, it does make the cut. And Agents of Shield makes my top 5 because I think it is probably one of the more underrated Marvel properties that has been. Uh, I was really just kind of hitting the stride of this business when the MCU really hit phase, culminated phase in the first phase of the Avengers team up, and was like a kid in a candy store for what came next in phase 2 when the universe really kind of opened up from into these shared stories. And Agents of Shield, man, had to do the hard job of Marvel kind of starting this commitment to tie it directly to the MCU and then kind of stutter stepping on that commitment. And the early episodes, I mean, were rough. Nobody's going to argue. Those season 1 early episodes are rough. But Agents of Shield pulled one of the best turns I've ever seen in when Captain America, the Winter Soldier came out and Shield fell apart and the show had to deal with all of that. And that's when I feel like it really began to hit its stride and become its own thing. And even though the chips were down so many times on this show and it looked like it could get canceled, they kept kind of squeaking it over the line and coming back and coming back and coming back, and largely just on the strength of the cast and the creators and their charisma and their commitment to this. And so it was always fun. It kept us in Marvel long before these Disney Plus series had us talking every week. Agents of Shield kept us in Marvel fun week after week after week, and it sustained me. And even if it wasn't the top pick for me to watch in the week and it was just on my DVR, I was always surprised that when I sat down for that hour-long episode, how much I actually enjoyed it by the time the end credits rolled and was like, oh, man, even I felt week to week like I was sleeping on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it was just a kind of early trailblazer for what we now have as MCU TV shows. And yeah, there were so many. I mean, there were a lot of arcs. I loved the Hydra Rising arc. I loved the LMD world arc in that whole kind of dark universe arc. I loved Ghost Rider. It gave us a whole new Ghost Rider. There's just a lot that it did. So, it was a good time. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for as campy and silly as it was. All right, let's throw it over to Matt. Why don't you give us your honorable mention and your number 5 pick?
Yeah, so honorable mention is a show that kind of sort of never was, but it exists. The pilot does anyway, of New Warriors, which was canceled wrongly. We were robbed of a great show, and seen all at one point the showrunner started like revealing footage and showing images and stuff on social media, and like once you saw Squirrel Girl in action, I was like, oh my god, like I can't believe the show did not actually happen. And like Night Thrasher and Speedball are going to be part of this. There was no Firestar, but that's okay. I forgive it. But like I was pumped for this, especially when they started talking about like what the show really was and also why it was canceled. Again, crap reasons, and I was robbed. So this was my honorable mention. Yes, it counts because they film stuff. It exists. I'm okay with that. And then for my number 5 spot, this was hard because this was actually between. It ended up being between Defenders and Runaways, and I went Defenders because I feel like, especially at the time, Defenders. I know it has its critics, but like Defenders really delivered to me on this promise of we're going to get all these characters coming together. We've gone through their seasons. They've become individuals on their own, and now we're going to see them all kind of mix and match and intermingle. I thought it delivered, and to me, it was the one actual show that made Iron Fist tolerable. I thought Iron Fist was like good in this, but it was because of all the other characters kind of helping to kind of build around, right? So like you could ignore some of the weaknesses of that kind of premise of the character. And I liked some of those interactions. I mean, especially seeing Iron Fist and Luke Cage, Mike Coulter's Luke Cage, I adore. So like I just loved, it felt like a fun, it was shorter too. It was a shorter series, which I think actually helped it. it might have actually could have probably been even a little shorter to give kind of to maximize everything. So I really thought it delivered. It was full of action, but honestly, you watch those kinds of shows and those kinds of projects for all the fun little character moments, all the banter between them. And I thought it delivered that. And it came away satisfied. Like I came away enjoying that. I didn't necessarily need another one. I would have liked another one if those series had continued. Obviously they did not. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that's why, to me, it comes in at number 5. It was a difficult choice because Runaways is very good, but I think this paid off.
Nice. Okay, so I guess it's my turn, right?
Your turn.
It is so hard to defend. I don't want to even fight, but God, I am not a fan of Defenders at all. But I just feel like they did Danny Rand so bad. Okay, my honorable mention, and this is probably going to catch some flack because it should probably be higher up on the list, but and it was like tied with me with number 4, but obviously no ties are allowed. So my honorable mention is Punisher. As I made this list, I was starting to realize how much I am loyal to actors and how much if I fall in love with someone who played a role that I love in something else, I tend to just like go bananas when I see them in something else. So John Bernthal from The Walking Dead, he was Shane. That is like the first comic booky like opportunity I had. So The Walking Dead will always be so near and dear to my heart. So anything that I see him in, I just get so excited about, on top of him just being brilliant. Like this was such an awesome show. It was just so brutal, and it was just different than the superhero-y stuff that I had seen in the past. It felt just like really dark and gritty. It felt really emotional for me. I was really wrapped up in the story. I really, really, really wanted to season 3. I felt like there was more story to tell. And just seeing like his struggle, I don't know. I just fell in love with this character and I love the show. So that's definitely my honorable mention. And the only reason why it's not up higher is because another one of my favorite actors was in a different show. So I like fell in love with that one. My number 5 is actually one that you guys have rated higher. So I'm not going to go too much into it because I want you guys to go ham on it, but I put Daredevil at 5, and that is it's an obvious hit. Like I feel like it's one of the easiest shows in Marvel history to love. And again, the only reason why I even have it lower ranked on my list is just because of these Disney Plus shows that just hit it like out of the park for me. If you would have asked me before any Disney Plus thing was released, obviously it'd be in like my top 2. But I feel like the thing that really stayed with me on Daredevil was obviously our villain is one of the most memorable and amazing villains of all time. Like Fisk is just spectacular. The casting was amazing. And then the fight choreography, like I remember just being blown away at this fight choreography. I'm actually watching it again because I panicked and I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to watch it. but yeah, I'm going back and watching it again. I'm just still like blown away. It holds up. Like you can watch this over and over again. I really thought there were more than 3 seasons. Like in my mind, I thought that I watched this for like 6 seasons or something. But that's my number 5, and I'll let you guys get more into it whenever you rank. You're muted, Kofi.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hear what the rest of it. I mean, you just praised your number 5 pretty heavily, so you're gonna have to do a lot of work.
Spectacular. It's so good, though. I love all these shows so much.
Can't do that. They can't do that. This is
there's no losers here, Kofi.
I know, it's so hard.
There's no losers.
I mean, our streams, if you guys keep ranking
Daredevil aside from me, who lost New Warriors.
All right. Not to go backwards, but we did forget to do a proper introduction for this segment. The whole reason why we are ranking Marvel TV shows this week is it came up as a part of the conversation that the Marvel Netflix series are going to be have gone back to Disney and are already kind of scheduled to be appearing on Disney Plus in certain regions. But we know that they're back in the family, and the fate of those Marvel Netflix shows and the characters in them are big talking points right now. So this is why we decided to go back and rank our Marvel TV shows. It just got us kind of nostalgic and thinking. All right. So that said, My number 4 pick, and I think we're going to start to pick up a little faster here as we cross over each other, is Defenders. So Matt and I had this really close. He had it at number 5. I have it at number 4. And I have it there. Stop. You just ranked Daredevil 5. Your opinion is on the chopping block.
Iron Fist, he just sucked so bad in it.
Yeah, that's why they ripped on him the whole time.
Yeah,
no, but like they didn't have to write him like that. They could have made us like the hero.
There was no saving Danny Rand, and he was
no saving that man.
Yeah.
So sad. It's so sad.
Like, he was like a kid, and he was like an overgrown kid, and the rest of them were into some hard shit. Did you see what the rest of those Defenders were doing with their lives, man? They should have ripped on him. But anyway, stop the hate. Defenders was a small screen Avengers team up. It did deliver, like Matt said. It took these characters more so than the MCU even. It took characters with these deep character stories that we had really gotten to know and brought them all together. And it honored every single one of those characters as who they are. For better or for worse, Janelle, I'm sorry, but the Danny Rand in that Defenders is the same one who just stepped out. He literally, it is Iron Fist like 1.5, season 1.5. It really is. It's the same Danny. The only thing is there's Luke Cage and the rest of them to call him out for his nonsense in this. And to wonder about his glowing fist and stuff. So, like Matt said, the ensemble of actors, Charlie Cox, Kristen Ritter, and Finn Jones and Mike Coulter were so good bouncing off one another. And the scene in the Chinese restaurant is one of my favorite Marvel scenes, period.
So good.
With them just having a conversation and then having it end in a fight. And I remember I was at New York Comic Con for Comicbook.com, I believe. Yeah, was that? Yeah. For us when Sigourney Weaver came out on stage as the villain in that. And any show that you have Sigourney Weaver playing like a villain is just badass to me.
And she had fun with it.
Yeah, she had a great fun, and she was like she was a great arch villain. And Elodie Yung as Elektra and the Black, that whole thing was great. It was a culmination of like all the shows and brought in a lot of great stuff. And my poster just fell on my back. I was like, that scared me. I was like, who just grabbed me? I almost had like one of those like old childhood scary story freak out.
It's Danny Rand. You're talking junk about it. It was Iron Fist.
Purple man. Kilgrave had to grab my mind or something. Man. All right. So yeah, so Defenders just did it. I mean, it delivered, and I was kind of just mad. I was actually mad they didn't get a season, like another chance at that, because I thought there was another team up that should have been had. But I'm never going to be able to explain. I guess people felt like Janelle did, like why that one, because I mean, Defenders did flop hard when you go back and look at the stats, and so it is kind of weird that happened. But RP Defenders, I did love you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Is it me? It's my turn next.
Yep,
I think. So staying in that family, we always talk about actors that like just like come in and embody the characters they play. RDJ is a perfect example of, Tony Stark. Like it just is Tony Stark, right? Chris Evans is Captain America. Kristen Ritter is Jessica Jones. And Jessica Jones just ruled. Like that series, like she came in, it was like the first episode. It's the first episode, and you just buy in immediately. And you're like, yes, this is exactly the Jessica Jones that honestly I even want more of in the comics, as we've seen her in the comics in this way. But like I want even more of that. Like it just made it a crime that there wasn't more of her going on in the comics at the time.
Matt, did you know we both put this in the same spot?
Did we?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Yes. Oh my god.
Well, we're just gonna save us some time. Both of you.
We should just talk about it together.
Yes, I agree. No, for sure.
The image that you pulled for it, because this is the image I pulled for it too.
No, that's the one you pulled.
Okay, because like literally, okay, I'll tell you why, but continue. Sorry, I just thought it was so cool. We were thinking on the same page.
No, it's just also too, like, we talked about like Sigourney Weaver for Defenders. The casting in this show is tremendous. Like everybody from like Ika as Malcolm is a character that you just end up caring so much for, throughout as the season goes on. You're just invested. You're invested in Trish. You're invested in, Jen. Jerry. And like, of course, I imagine you're probably going to get to him a little bit, but like Kilgrave is one of the best villains. Like, it's just one of the best Marvel villains as far as like how they executed him. And
Yep.
so I'll let you jump in. But yeah, like,
Okay,
I
yes.
just love this.
Obviously, Matt and I are on the same page here. I honest to God, if I could, I would put Punisher and Jessica Jones like in the same league, because to me they're like right there with each other. But the thing that pushes this up higher on my list is David Tennant, because he is my favorite Doctor. I have a TARDIS behind me. It's my favorite show of all time is Doctor Who, and David Tennant is just insane. Like, he's so amazing as an actor in anything, but this role was made for him. It was just, he's spectacular in it. Like, I can't get over it. The other thing that I really loved about this was obviously like they weren't afraid to be bloody and gory and
Right.
rated R and have that really dark tone. Like, I really appreciate that they didn't hold back on that with Punisher or Jessica Jones. And then obviously, like, it's just great to see a female lead, a female led superhero TV show that is just dark and gritty and gory and wrapped up in a lot of like adult content that I just really, really appreciate.
Yeah, like Daredevil was not afraid to get dark
Mhm.
and in tone, and it deals with a lot of, gritty subject matter at times. But Jessica Jones really pushed that envelope, and to me, showed that first season showed like how far they were willing to go in really like dark emotional stories. And there's a lot of there's scenes in that that are just kind of hard to watch, but just from like you empathize as much as you can, you know what I mean? Like, there's just some really screwed up stuff going on, and these characters have to really overcome a lot. But I just thought that that set a template for me moving forward, that hey, here's where we can go with these characters. We're not afraid to jump into that deep emotional end of the pool, as opposed to just a dark superhero story. We're okay with going to a dark human story. And I thought that this show overall just kind of embodied that, Also, shout out to Hellcat.
I think you guys are, I agree with you, but the reason I left off Jessica Jones and Luke Cage from my list personally was I had to look over the assignment, which was rate your favorite Marvel TV shows, meaning the entire thing. And I thought seasons 2 and 3 of Jessica Jones were so much weaker. Ow, stop.
Jessica's mad at you now.
Season 2, I love. Season 3, I get though. Season 3 was a little bit of a step.
I thought season 2 and 3 were so much weaker than season 1, and they never ever got a villain to replace what Kilgrave brought to the table. And I just thought, as an overall show, that season 1 is such a standout amongst, if we were doing seasons, I'd put Jessica Jones in my top 3 seasons of Marvel
it's
shows.
excellent.
But I feel like the rest of it got dragged down. Same with Luke Cage. And I
stumped for Luke Cage so hard. I love that.
But I think Luke Cage season 2 with Bushmaster, with what's his name, Isaiah, who was in Cowboy Bebop as Bushmaster, was good. But the second half of Luke Cage season 1, again, kind of uneven. So I couldn't co-sign that. But I agree with everything you guys just said about the love letter to Jessica Jones season 1. I've never seen a show that's more scary since probably Terminator 2. I don't think I've seen a villain who's more scary about keeping you unsure about who is who and what is what. And even when you think everything is safe, suddenly everything turns very unsafe and you're like, oh God. And doing that as an expression for the experiences of women, through the traumas of, everything that would later come out in Me Too and all that stuff. Jessica Jones pushed that envelope way before that became a mainstream thing. And the fact that Marvel was willing to go there on any level was real impressive. So no hate on Jessica Jones. And I loved Kristen Ritter. I stumped through 2 seasons of The Bee in Apartment 20.
Me too. Let's go.
Let's not even get started. I was on to Kristen Ritter before this popped off. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's get to your pick.
All right, come on. Don't rush me. I just listened to you guys do a whole
move. It was our pick. It was your pick.
I'll be faster coming up because we've talked a lot.
All right, my number 3 is also Matt's number 3. So we can do this.
We can
combo. With just Loki.
Loki buddies.
Me and Matt. If you guys remember, if you're longtime fans of the show, you remember me and Matt pretty much had the same MCU TV show rankings when we did that kind of earlier this year.
Right.
And so Loki is both of our number 3s in overall Marvel TV shows. And I think Loki is my number 3 simply because it is, to me, probably one of the most fun Marvel TV shows that we've ever had. And it's carried by a charisma of one of the best Marvel actors we've ever had. Tom Hiddleston introduced us a great new kind of female anti-hero in Sophie. Was her name Sophie? Yes. I don't want to say female Loki anymore. But no, Sophia D. What was her name in the show? I can't
Sylvie,
believe it.
right?
Sylvie.
Sylvie, yeah.
Sylvie, yes.
Yeah.
Sophia is her real name. Sylvie was her character name. Yes. So Sylvie, like, and that was great in their whole dynamic. And plus the entire kind of novelty of introducing the Marvel multiverse, the TVA, and leading up to Kang and Jonathan Major's big debut was, I mean, Marvel can fail horribly when it tries to do this expansive universe stuff on top of telling focused character stories. Iron Man 2, Eternals. And so, like, when Loki pulled that off so well on, like, even on a TV budget when there was moments of green screen and stuff, it was still a lot of fun. Like that episode where he and Sophie take the train and get stranded on the dying planet is still one of my favorite Marvel TV episodes. And a lot of it's just them talking and bantering and having fun with each other. But it took a lot. Like, I mean, Loki is the ultimate MVP of the MCU. He was supposed to be like a one-off villain in Thor, and look at what Tom Hiddleston has done with that. And we proved that in a series, it's even more fun with more Tom Hiddleston and a bunch of variants and even Crocodile Loki. And just the viewing experience of watching that show has been probably my most fun collective fan viewing experience. Peacemaker's a close second, but like Loki was fun. Week to week, we all were just going nuts about like what we were going to see and, you know, theories, and it was great. So Loki, good times.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. I think he said it well. Like I came in. I think what raises it a notch for me is that I came in burnt out on the character. Like I had seen him enough. I'd been like, okay, like there's not really, like, I'm not the biggest Loki fan just in general, right? So it's not like I came in here with a predisposition for loving that character. So I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I don't think you can do anything new. And so then to come in and end up being just like blown away and have it become one of my favorite seasons, just from week to week, just from the sheer, I mean, Owen Wilson and Hiddleston's just back and forth, just chew scenery. It doesn't matter what they're doing. They're walking down a hallway, and it's like I'd watch a full West Wing like walk and talk with just Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston. Like they're amazing. So for me to reverse so much on that and just to come away just like, yes, I want a season 2, and thankfully we're getting one. I just, cannot give it enough flowers. Like it was fun. I enjoyed seeing the variants. It's yeah. One of my favorite podcasts. But yeah, no, I really came away enjoying this, and I did not expect to when I went in. So, very excited for the next one.
Speaking of not expecting, my number 3, I feel like you guys are gonna freak out, is Hawkeye. I can't believe that I'm saying this because I was not team Hawkeye for so long. Like in general, in the Avengers, I was just kind of like, he's pointless. Why is he here? I don't understand. I just kind of ignored his character. And then this show dropped, and I am in love with so many of these characters. This is everything I've ever wanted from like a holiday superhero TV show. That I will probably watch this show more than even my 1 and 2 picks over the course of my life, because I'm going to watch this season and whatever goes on, if it's holiday themed, every single time Christmas season rolls up. Like I'm going to continue to enjoy this over and over and over again. Surprise hit won me over. Kate Bishop stole my heart. Again, shocked because I didn't know a lot about her character. They did a spectacular job of showing who she is and what she's about and building her story. And I am just so freaking pumped about Echo. Exactly, Chris. I'm excited about Echo. I can't find anything wrong with it. I just am so excited about this. And I know it's like not as serious as Jessica Jones or Daredevil or Punisher, but it's a little bit lighter, and I welcomed it so much. Like it just felt so good to watch the show. So that's my number 3.
Okay, let's keep it moving. We're getting up to the top 2s. My number 2 series was WandaVision. So it's been a while, so to revisit, WandaVision was, I know there's a lot of people now. We have an entire Marvel podcast. We have a lot of Marvel experts on our Comicbook.com staff. but none of them has an article predating me saying WandaVision is going to be that noise. Because I saw just when Marvel started doing just like the first upfronts for what it was, and they showed me WandaVision, everybody was just like, okay, that looks weird. It's like a throwback sitcom. Okay. And I was like, no, given who these characters are, given the comic book history, this is going to be whacked out and weird, and is probably going to open a lot of doors that we don't expect. And I mean, it's on, I have it on paper. It's on Comicbook.com. You can track it down, but
we have proof.
We have proof, but I called it, and I was so happy to be right in this case. Like, WandaVision took everything about the nature of TV and the history of TV. And if you're somebody like me who did grow up, like, nobody raised me in front of a TV. I was raised by professors, but like, I did watch a lot of TV. I remember a lot of that history. And I used to have an old elderly kind of babysitter who was into Nick at Night and rewatching all the 1950s and 60s shows. And this was an interesting experiment. And I said that Loki was fun week to week, but I'm actually kind of now thinking, if I remember that correctly, because WandaVision, the theories, wow. Like, I know we felt burnt out by the end when we didn't get our Mephisto and we got Ralph Boner instead, but WandaVision's theories were so fun. We were all hyped. Magneto was showing up. Ultron was coming back. Mephisto would be there. Like, House of M was popping off. Like,
you're making me sad.
And none of that happened.
But it wasn't.
I'm embarrassed. Can I go hide now?
But we had just been through like a pandemic, and just having everybody come together for Marvel again was great. And it really showcased, first of all, why Lizzie Olsen should have been like a star of this. Like, I mean, one of the headlining stars of this franchise all along, and why Wanda Scarlet Witch deserves proper treatment. That flashback episode, the penultimate episode where Agatha takes her back through her memories, is one of my favorite Marvel like kind of content episodes ever. Like, it's just wonderfully done. And yeah, what didn't we get out of WandaVision besides, full Scarlet Witch, a new White Vision, Agatha Harkness, the hit song, Billy, Tommy, set up for Multiverse of Matt. Like, I mean, and it was just crazy week to week, and the theories were awesome. So WandaVision, and also underneath that, you got this great story that, again, like Jessica Jones, Marvel nailed a very female-centric story with very female themes and concerns about everything from motherhood to just, what image is expected of women over the course of history and all that stuff. And yeah, it was great. Plus, on the outside, we got we proved that the MCU could take even D-level kind of supporting characters, team them up, and make it awesome with like Jimmy Woo and Kat Dennings and, Monica Rambeau. Like, so all of that was great. WandaVision was hype.
All right. Well, we'll move into my number 2, which is, as Janelle lovingly talked about, is Hawkeye. This would have been, my number 1 on any given list. And in fact, on my MCU list, it is my number 1. I adore the show, especially I was coming from the same spot as Janelle. It is well documented that like I'm not the biggest fan of Clint Barton and Hawkeye.
This is so ironic. Me, who's been screaming Hawkeye's the hardest for the Avengers, is the only one who didn't.
It's not on your list.
I know, right? Ironically. So yeah, like I was never a big fan, right? And so that's why I was excited for the show, because I was excited for the show for all the reasons that it wasn't Clint, it was Kate, and we were going to finally get her in, and like her kind of moving into that spot, which I was a huge fan of. We were the tease of Yelena jumping in, like all these Echo, all these people that weren't Clint. And then I came away from the show loving all those things as much as I thought I would. There are a few shows, Marvel or any really show, right? It has to really capture something for me to like go back and just rewatch scenes on YouTube over and over and over again. And I swear I've watched those reaction cuts of people watching the various Bishop and Yelena scenes, whether it's the macaroni scene or it's the fight, like going to the elevator and all that. I have rewatched those numerous times, and it does not get old. I just adore like their chemistry and just everything about the show. And as Janelle said, it's just a fun Christmas time thing. I loved it. I absolutely love it. So I hope, excited, season 2, more of that. But I can't believe I'm saying that about a Hawkeye show.
We need that Steinfeld Pugh team up is. I mean, we need that. Put it in my veins. Yeah.
Please. Okay, so my number we're on 2, right? Golly, I can't even keep track. Number 2, obviously you guys have both hit this. We're gonna probably sync up a little bit here, but my number 2 is Loki. I'll be quick because I know we're pushing it. Uh, I love the show because I feel that it is critical to the MCU. I feel like if you are enjoying any of this multiversal stuff, you really need to make sure that you watch this. And I love that the character they decided to make really important in this is Loki, because unlike Matt, I am not burned out on Loki. Loki's one of my favorite characters and always has been since the beginning. I love his mischief and I always thought he was super hot. And so I feel like it's really easy to love Thor, but it's harder to love Loki. And I've always loved Loki. So it's so cool to like be given a reason like to love Loki in the MCU, because I feel like they never really gave us a reason to cling to him. And I wanted to. I was like, there. I'm like, I really want to like him. Like, just give me something. So they did. And I think Sylvie is one of these characters that just stand out for me. If we get to see more of her and really get to know her more, she will probably become one of my favorite characters ever. And then, yeah, this was the only show that I watched, honestly, that felt like a movie for me. Like I really feel like I was watching a movie. So that is why I love Loki. Yay, number 2.
All right. And let's close this out now. The big reveal. What is all of our number 1 picks? It's not going to be that exciting. I think we begin to converge right here.
Right.
Really close. So let's just get through it. My number 1 and Matt's number 1 pick. Matt, would you like to reveal what it is?
Sure. It is Daredevil.
Okay, so for me, it is Daredevil. Daredevil is the best Marvel TV show because, again, I have bias to the time and place of like how I got in this career in, going into the 2010s. And I just remember the time before Daredevil got here, like the discussion of whether Marvel could do things like Marvel Knights, Midnight Suns, this more leaning into the R-rated kind of pool of things was unheard of. Like we thought, no way, especially later when Disney got, no way. Like it's never going to happen. We're never going to get this proper kind of darker, edgier, street level Marvel that we wanted. And then Daredevil drops, right? And we go into Daredevil just remembering the Ben Affleck movie, a lot of people not liking that interpretation and seeing this guy that few people had ever heard of unless you watched Boardwalk Empire like I did. You didn't really know who Charlie Cox was. And you had no idea. And you start seeing these promo images, and it's the classic man without fear, head wrap, and the black suit. And you're like, okay, but is that like really Daredevil? And you're just kind of wondering. And then we fired up this series, right? And holy frijoles, Daredevil was the game changer. I mean, the brutality. Janelle said it when she did her number 5 review, placement, but the brutality, the fight sequencing, the level of performance from actors like Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, the building of an entire Marvel villain as something more than just a generic like one-off kill, bad guy with a generic army was totally new for the MCU and has redefined how we even approach villains in this franchise. But yeah, it was just great. And it was treated like an adult TV show and not just like some comic book TV show. And by the time Wilson Fisk was smashing a guy's head in a door or some guy was impaling himself through the eye on a fence, I was like, yeah, Marvel Knights is real, bro. And like, we could do this. And so I put Daredevil on here because Daredevil is also one of the rare Marvel series to establish its own kind of traditions and signatures. From the the one track tracking fights every season that we had to get to different things that happen. It became its own kind of signature, and it sustained its quality through 3 seasons. I remember seeing the Bullseye fight in season 3 at New York Comic Con and just being like, oh my God. And just even when you rewatch season 3 and they do Bullseye's whole story and his origin Marvel Netflix got a fair rap for having too many episodes in that 13 episode run and burning us out and kind of making those seasons too long. But Daredevil did it 3 seasons. I mean, season 2 with Punisher and Elektra and, that whole thing. Like Daredevil did it 3 seasons. And I go back and I watch and I appreciated it so much more. And it's a show that deserved to be saved. And why? we got Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio back in the MCU because it was too good to fail and too good to be forgotten. So Daredevil's my number one.
Yeah. I can't add too much more. For me, the reason it is number one is a combination of the fact that over 3 seasons, the show delivered across the board. And it rehabbed several characters that had been portrayed in that movie. Like Elektra is fantastic. Like the work they did with Elektra in the hand just like makes it feel like the character and the threat it's supposed to feel. Same way with Kingpin, same way with Bullseye. Someone mentioned in the comics, I think it was Brywood, Ben Urich, a fantastic portrayal of this character. Like everything from like all the characters really play a part. And honestly, for me, like one of the most comic accurate depictions of like Punisher. Like what an introduction to that character, and just pulling scenes directly from the comics and interpreting them in a way that just like you didn't really ever think you'd see, and you never really thought you'd see that. And just
the rooftop gun test, yeah,
but delivered with the emotion and the drama that you felt when you read those moments for the first time, right? So like it was conveyed. It wasn't just an Easter egg of, hey, look, you remember that? It was done with like real follow through, and so that's why they felt like they had weight. That's just fantastic series from top to bottom. Can't say enough. So yeah, that's why it's my number one.
Awesome. All right. I know we're like talking so much, so I'll be quick. We already covered it. My number one is WandaVision. This is the most excited I've ever really been about a show ever from week to week. So I really can't even express to you guys how much I would just sit there waiting for the days to go on for this new episode to drop. I just adored everything about this. It's like nothing we've ever seen before within Marvel. I became super attached to so many characters, White Vision or just Vision in general, Agatha, Monica Rambeau, Jimmy Woo. I still want him to have a spinoff series. The kids, Darcy Lewis. I mean, this was like packed with cast members and people that I just freaking love. And again, like I am the magic mysticism lover. This is just totally my wheelhouse. So this stole my heart. I've watched it totally through. I think I've watched it maybe 4 times. And I can't say that about any other series on my entire list. And like everyone that I have showed the show to, including like my parents who are in their 60s, who know nothing about anything, adore it. And I'm just like, I just love it so much. And it like breaks my heart that I don't get like 5 more seasons of it. Yes, 4 times through, Jesus. Yes. It's great. I loved it. I just loved it so much. And obviously you guys did a deeper dive on it. So
all right. Those are our top 5 Marvel TV shows ranked. We're going to try to get a graphic together with all of our picks on it and put that out on the Comic Book Nation Twitter feed. So you guys can also chime in and let us know your rankings as well, because we want to hear them. All right. We got a little bit of time. So Matt,
Jesus.
All right. Do a speedy review of this week's comics.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with 10 Deaths of Wolverine number 3. Let's jump right into the deep end of the pool, because I feel like let's
talk about how I was right again.
This issue really, one of the things we've talked about with the series is like how we're still kind of waiting, right, for some of the plot points to come through. This one, it's starting to coalesce. We're starting to actually see all the pieces start to play out. I will love this because we get Laura and we get Scout, we get Gabby. I will always adore books with them, but there's a real like Wolverine family thing going on here, and I adore it. We also get the stuff with Moira playing out, and we're actually starting to see who our not even antagonists and protagonists are, but like who our sides are. And it's starting to make the book, it's starting to really pull you in. Like this was the first issue where I really was like, okay, I really want to read the next one. Like I'm kind of in. So what did you guys think on this?
I think it, like you said, it's pulling together things all the way back from House of X and starting to make them exciting, because the nature of this larger thing was, what is the conflict for mutants into the future? Like, what is the cycle of violence and tragedy and loss for them, and how to get out of that cycle? And what Moira was supposed to be a savior to this, but she was always kind of started as a weird non-savior of mutants. She kind of got pushed into that. and finding her kind of going back to the side of now being kind of an antagonist to mutants and not their savior is kind of very interesting. And the whole time travel and cycle of it all that Hickman started with her multiple lives in this power is getting more interesting when she's saying things like, I know this is like the first hope because I know that I probably succeeded because of like what is happening now. And so the whole time loop of it all and looper of it all is starting to get exciting again. And this issue really kind of spelled it out. And like you said, if you don't like that, there's a whole Wolverine family battle. So, you know, what's not to love about that? And you start to sympathize with Phalanx Logan. You're like, oh, he's not the bad guy after all.
And that's an awesome costume design. Janelle, what do you think?
I'm very interested in this. I feel like I'm learning more and more each time you make me read an X-Men comic. and I do. I feel like I'm getting a little more comfortable and therefore able to enjoy it more. This one is obviously my favorite out of any in this series because it is coming together, making more sense. I'm glad I hung in there and wasn't like judgmental of death and lives of any of these. And because the payoff for me has been really nice. I like this. I'm really excited to see where it's going.
Awesome. Well, I think the next one, I'm the only one that read, correct? So I think Aquaman #1 is the one.
Oh no, I didn't read that.
No, yeah, we're having some tech issues on one side right now.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'll just do a real quick thing. Aquaman. If you've been reading the Aquaverse, as I'm calling, I don't even know if that's the official name, but the Aquaverse has kind of been expanding. There's been a lot of stuff. Jackson has had his own series in The Becoming, and then Black Manta has had his own series, kind of developing him and pushing him into some new places. And so all of those are really converging in Aquaman, which brings together Arthur, Jackson, Black Manta. Also, at some point, Mara and Andy are going to be in the mix. They don't really play a part here. So I'm very excited for what it's going to blossom into. This issue is very much a setup, putting all the pieces together. We really don't get kind of any kind of sort of unification till the end. So I'm kind of hoping that in 2 and 3, that really starts to pick up. This is a fun issue, but it's kind of safe. So, not like the blow me away thing. I'm hoping for the next. Let's move into Ghost Rider #1, which is the poll winner. Thank you guys for everybody for voting. This one brings us, this is not a Robbie Reyes story because like Robbie Reyes is kind of the core Ghost Rider. So coming in, I'm kind of partial to Robbie. But at the same time, I'm really interested in this story because it kind of tries to capture some of the classic Ghost Rider elements. But for a long time in this issue, you don't really know where it's going. But I feel like the payoff towards the end kind of sold me on this, and seeing that essentially like he's been trapped in this kind of mental prison. You still have a lot of questions. You don't know who did it. You don't know why. So there's a lot of really good stuff kind of moving forward. And there's some parts for me anyway that were kind of hard to read, but again, it fits the subject matter, it fits the character. So I don't know what you guys think. I don't know how big of Ghost Rider fans you two are.
I love Ghost Rider, and I actually had a lot more Ghost Rider love than I thought as I've kind of looked back. I came in at the Dan Ketch era, but I felt like this one. I felt like there was an agenda in this one to kind of reinvent Johnny Blaze in a kind of way for possibly franchise use down the line.
Yeah.
And I don't like this version of Johnny Blaze very much. Like, I don't need tortured Johnny Blaze. Like, I've come so far in my Marvel evolution that him being like the guy who's over it and is now kind of like the wiser mentor Johnny Blaze was always, ponytail Johnny Blaze, riding with Dan Ketch is always my favorite Johnny Blaze. I think because it's like a character growth and evolution that I thought actually worked. So trying to go back to like tortured Johnny Blaze, I'm just like, it's because it just feels like, yes, I get it. You want to make MCU Ghost Rider one day and you're going back to the classic. Yeah. I mean, Ray, he was fine. He was great. Like, and we were all vibing with that thanks to kind of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that. People were kind of embracing that new Ghost Rider. And so, I don't need to go back. I feel like this is just postmodern Ghost Rider, like, new age Ghost Rider retelling. So it's all right. But I didn't need like Johnny Blaze's emotional troubles, like
okay,
as a whole narration for me. Like, I was just like, dude, I'm over this.
I get that. Janelle, what do you think?
I don't know a lot about Ghost Rider, but I do. It's weird because I guess maybe because of the movies when I was younger or something. It's like I know what's up, but I felt very like unsure of what was happening in this book. So I actually really liked it. I thought it was really cool. I loved the depiction of like the monsters and in his other vision, like he could see that things were monsters. I just thought it was very well done and I could understand what was going on. I think they kind of they made it kind of long in his to figure out that he's, I guess, in hell or something, like wherever he is. But you know, I wish they would have gotten to the end a little faster, but I would say that I enjoyed it. Like I like this and I want to read more Ghost Rider because I don't know this side of it. And I think it could be kind of cool, but I'm just really open to these things because I don't have this like fixed, you know, concept of like, this is my Ghost Rider, this is my Wolverine. Like I just kind of am open. And I think that kind of serves me in situations like this because I actually really liked it.
That makes sense. That's also why I think I probably enjoyed it a little more than Kofi's because I don't have the attachment to Blaze and Ketch. My Ghost Rider is very much Robbie. Like that's the one that I always I gravitate. I didn't gravitate to Ghost Rider until Robbie. So like that's in my brain. So when I look at something like this, it doesn't resonate as much, but I also don't have as much of like, well, that's, you know, why are you trying to reinvent the character? Like I don't have that coming in. So no, that makes perfect sense. Moving into Janelle, Captain Marvel number 36 ends the last of the Marvels. It's a big finale. What did you I'll go last because I just like,
oh, I mean, it's easy. Like it's easy to follow. You get to see some of your favorite like characters working together. You don't have to like be really super connected to the backstories to just like enjoy this book. And it was just fun. It's just a fun, exciting read. And I'm so happy we did it because I need that, especially with all of the Batman stuff and like the really dark stuff that we've been reading. Yeah. I've so enjoyed this story to kind of make it a little more like fun and poppy and I don't want to say light because it's still like life or death, but it just is a different vibe. And I really liked it a lot.
No, for sure. Yeah. And that's how I felt. Like I was kind of waiting for one more shoe to drop on the surprise, like Marvel mythos side. And that didn't really drop. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But like,
that's fine. Yeah.
Overall, I thought this was really fun. I love Kelly Thompson dialogue. I love that we have a character now that is like the separate binary entity, and that's going to be fun and seeing that. So yeah, I really dug this. It's probably no shock to people who follow me that I really dug a Captain Marvel boy. So real quick before we do, Supermassive #1 is a one shot, lives up to its name. It's a big one shot that if you've been keeping up with the Radiant Black universe over in Image Comics, that is about to grow exponentially with Rogue Sun and then also Infernal Girl Red, which are all like new characters coming into this world down the line. This combines them all to one kind of big fun event. I just love this book. This is like pure action, just pure visual goodness. If you're a fan of like the Tokusatsu or Power Rangers kind of influences, you're going to eat this up with a spoon. It's just really fun. It's just really fun. So if you aren't invested in that universe yet and you kind of want to see if it's for you, this is a perfect issue. Because if you don't like this issue, you're not going to like those. So definitely check this out. But that's comics. Whew, I think we ran through that pretty damn quick.
Mildly quick. That'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. One program note. We did a review of the Netflix series All of Us Are Dead, the Korean zombie series, and in a high school based on the graphic novel. And it's still continuing to be one of the more popular Netflix shows of all time. So I challenged Janelle Wheeler to go back in and watch it. And if she hates it like she did the first time, she gets to pick something that I have to watch.
Ooh. So you watch everything. This is gonna be so hard.
That is very untrue. If you are paying,
you watch Love Is Blind.
I'm not going to tell you anything anymore. I'm not going to stay. This is your thing. Like, but if you've been paying attention to this podcast, you should know what my weak points are and what I mean, I certainly have a dossier on you guys. So I don't know what we're all doing.
I'll have the listeners help me out. Tweet me what.
That's why I was bringing it up. Yeah, you can can give Janelle suggestions on what she should make me watch if she hates it, but you got to actually give it a chance.
Okay.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. You can always follow us at the Twitter account at Comic Book Nation, and this week we hope you do because we want to know your top 5 Marvel TV show picks. If you want to talk to us individually, you can find me at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find me at Matt Aguilar CB.
You can find me at Janelle Wheeler.
All right, we will, as Bridewood says, we will keep comic booking, Comicbook.com as your one-stop thing for all your geek and mainstream entertainment needs. So we have everything that everybody's mentioned in the comics up there already. You know, Ozark's new season date, everything in between. We got it all. So check out Comicbook.com. All right, we will see you guys next week when we all will be in a world where the Batman is finally in theaters. All right, looking forward to that. Take it easy, Comic Book Nation. We are out.
Bye, guys.
Deuces.